you had indicated that contact intensive sectors may require further support. So apart from the ECLGS, in which you have carved out a separate window for the hospitality sector, for instance, that's one.
One minute. I'm not sure if your voice is coming out audibly.
I'll repeat.
With your mask, if you want, you speak loud a bit.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, just to repeat, so you had indicated at some point in time that probably the contact-intensive sectors may require further support. So, one is the ECLGS, which you've announced in your budget speech, also a separate carve-out for the hospitality sector, for instance, within that. Anything else, ma'am, that you would like to elaborate on that front? And second, ma'am, aren't your tax and expenditure, both numbers, extremely conservative in the budget? Any reason for that, ma'am?
First thing about hospitality and contact intensive. I've said hospitality and related sectors. This was one thing which has come out repeatedly from very many stakeholders, and we recognize that post the second wave, the hospitality is in difficulty and they needed support. The tested and sort of proven formula was the emergency credit liquidity guarantee scheme. Since that had worked out well for the MSMEs, we thought that formulation is the best to be adopted. So to the existing 4.5 lakh crores of sovereign guarantee, we added 50,000 crore more sovereign guarantee, and wanted the hospitality and contact intensive sectors to benefit out of it. So that is the scheme. As it is, many of them are still approaching their banks. Banks can, even without the ECGLS, help them out if they want, but if ECGLS has to be extended, yes, we have given provision of 50,000 crores for it. Well, I thought you commented about the 1st February 2021 budget as well, saying you were conservative. I think our assessments have proven right, and conservative is not being overtly and excessively optimistic. We are sure to achieve the numbers. If anything, we'll probably better them.
Number 5.
Good afternoon, Madam Finance Minister. This is Karishma here from Business Today TV, India Today Group. I'd first like to congratulate you and the team for successfully implementing yet another budget. Ma'am, my question is on the privatization reform. The disinvestment target has been slashed. The revised target is at 78,000 crore, and of course, the next year's estimate is at 65,000 crore. Ma'am, with this, I'd like to understand how are we looking at LIC, IPO and BPCL privatization, which have been on cards?
I have Tuhin with me here, but before he gives you details, one thing is got to be understood. LIC, we've already sort of told you that in all probability it is going through this year. I've made a specific mention of that in the budget. So beyond what I've said in the Parliament, there's nothing more to add for me on that. But I've indicated clearly that it will happen. Now, assessment for the rest of the year about the number being big or small as per your view, I'll have Tuhin get into the details. But we have shown the intent of the government in that Air India got cleared. NINL has found its buyer. There's a little bit more work to be done there, but you are saying that we are progressing in many of these. So I think we've been very realistic in telling what we'll do and achieving what we've told. Tuhin, you want to add anything more onto this?
Ma'am, I just want to add that disinvestment actually is in accounting terms, when actual receipts to the government. Now, when we, for example, do NINL, nothing comes to the government in accounting terms. But that doesn't mean that we are actually progressing towards privatization in a faster way. So emphasis is on completion of transactions and implementation. And if we keep too high a target, sometimes it also distorts the market. Because nothing stops us from achieving when we want to achieve in disinvestment as per the plan which we are there. So ma'am has also mentioned that the ongoing transactions will be carried on and they will be completed. And these transactions, as and when they mature, they come to that. And secondly, on the revised estimates being 78, we should not also conjecture what will be the size of LIC IPO based on that, because valuation is yet to reach the final conclusion based on which we will do that. And there have been instances of actual receipts being different from even the RE figures, so you should not read too much into it.
Okay, 122.
Hi ma'am, Meghna Mittal from Newsrise. The budget has remained completely silent on India's listing on the foreign indices. There was an expectation that a tax amendment might happen to enable that. Has that been put on hold, or what is the plan on that?
Just repeat your question. I think your voice was a bit muffled.
Ma'am, I'm Meghna Mittal from Newsrise. My question is that the budget has remained silent on India's listing on the foreign indices. The expectation was of a tax amendment to enable that. So has that plan been put on hold, or what is the update on that?
You're referring to the bond indices,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The issue is that the NR to NR transactions are anyway tax-free. So there's no capital gains. The issue was between NR and resident. So the BEPS discussions are on for us. And in those discussions, we are actually saying that the capital gains tax right should come to the country where the transactions emanate from. So that has been our stand. And those discussions are still on, and we are the one who's propounding that thing, and that's how it is moving, those discussions. So this was not the right time for us to take a decision in a manner where we give up on our own domestic thing while we keep fighting in the BEPS discussions. So that was the basic reason that we didn't want to do it this year.
Number 90.
Ma'am, firstly, congratulations. Just two quick clarifications. One is on cryptocurrency, because you did touch about the RBI now giving digital rupee, and it will start from next year. And you've reflected that in the finance bill. You've also taxed cryptocurrency, but there's no regulation. So how are you going to work on that? I'm a little bit keen to understand that. And the other issue, of course, is that in your speech, which was very well put, there was one key issue which affects all of us, including you, inflation. How are you going to deal with that?
First thing, Sunil, I said the Reserve Bank will be issuing a digital currency. Currency becomes a currency is a currency only when it is issued by the central bank, even if it's a crypto. But anything which is outside of that, loosely all of us refer it to be cryptocurrency. They are not currencies. So let's first understand we are not taxing currency that is yet to be issued. And that provision is now made, and a currency in the name of digital rupee will be issued. Exact name you'll get a bit later, but Reserve Bank is the one which is going to issue it. And what Reserve Bank issues is the digital currency. Everything that prevails outside of it in the name of digital whatever are assets being created by individuals. And in transacting that asset, if there are profits being made, we are taxing that profit at 30%. We are also tracking every trail of money in that by saying every transaction will be 1% TDS, if I can use that expression. There will be a transaction, TDS imposed on every transaction in the crypto world, any transaction that is happening outside. So the distinctions are very clear. Currency is only with the Reserve Bank. That will get issued sometime this year. The transaction happening in the crypto world are of different kinds of assets, and for that, every transaction gets taxed. We have circulated a paper, inputs are coming in, public stakeholders are also talking about it, so regulation goes through that process. I don't wait till regulation comes into place for taxing people who are earning profits, can I? Well, every budget doesn't speak explicitly about inflation and its impact, but of course if you're talking of numbers, money, credit, liquidity, and also supply and demand of essential goods and others, you keep in mind inflation.
Okay. 11.
मैम, मैं आमिर हूं न्यूज नेशन से। बहुत सारी चर्चा इस बात को लेकर चल रही है कि जिस तरह से इनकम टैक्स को लेकर के उम्मीद की जा रही थी काफी समय से, तो इस बार इनकम टैक्स को
बढ़ाने का
तो टैक्स को कम नहीं किया गया, कॉर्पोरेट को के टैक्स को कम किया गया।
बढ़ाने का उम्मीद है तो मैं बढ़ा नहीं दिया मैंने।
लेकिन ऐसा मैम ऐसा क्या हुआ कि टैक्स में कोई भी रिबेट नहीं मिली? आम जनता जो पब्लिक खासतौर पे सैलरीड क्लास है उसको बहुत उम्मीदें थी इस बार बजट से।
मैंने टैक्स इंक्रीज नहीं किया, वो बात मैं दोहराना चाहती हूं। लास्ट ईयर भी, इस साल भी, एक भी पैसा टैक्स के द्वारा मैंने एडिशनली कमाने के लिए कोई कोशिश नहीं की। पिछले बार प्रधानमंत्री जी का आदेश था कि डेफिसिट कितने भी क्यों ना हो, पैंडेमिक के समय जनता के ऊपर टैक्स का बोझ डालना नहीं, वही इंस्ट्रक्शन इस बार भी। इसीलिए हमने टैक्स के द्वारा कोई पैसा कमा करके पैंडेमिक के समय जो डिमांड्स एंड चैलेंजेस है हमारे ऊपर, उसको कोई उससे राहत ढूंढने का अटेम्प्ट भी नहीं किया। टैक्स इंक्रीज नहीं हुआ।
1 to 4.
Hello. Good evening, ma'am. Shishir.
Shishir.
Yes, Shishir.
Ma'am, there is a one particular announcement which you made about the blended and non-blended petrol and diesel, that additional or the differential 2 rupees thing. Does this mean that all the petrol and diesel sold by petrol pump except those who are not blended from October 1, 2022 will be costlier?
We certainly want to encourage blended fuel. That's a simple message in that. Anything else you want to add, Tarun?
We have discussed with the Ministry of Petroleum. We have also collected data on what is not being blended, and this is something to push the petroleum companies to ensure that they do the blending. So our desire is not to collect this tax because it will be very minimal, but the desire is that the blending happens, and to that extent it benefits the country.
106.
मंत्री जी, हमारा आपसे मैं से मासिफ इन दिनों से मेरा सवाल है कि आपने अपने बजट भाषण में कहा है कि 80 लाख लोगों को मकान दिया जाएगा और रोजगार बढ़ाया जाएगा। ये किस तरीके से?
ये किस तरीके से? आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जब इस साल 5.5 लाख करोड़ का खर्च हम उठा रहे हैं, वो 34% या उससे थोड़ा कम पिछले साल से कंपेयर करते हुए, और इस साल आने वाले साल के लिए जो बजट आज पेश किए उसमें 5.5 लाख करोड़ 7.5 लाख करोड़ तक पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट, मतलब कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर हम बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं उतना अमाउंट तक। उससे तुरंत जॉब्स के ऊपर पॉजिटिव असर पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जब खर्च उठा रहे हैं हम एसेट क्रिएशन के लिए, रोड्स बनाने के लिए, एयरपोर्ट्स के लिए, सी पोर्ट्स के लिए, इनलैंड वाटरवेज के लिए, ये सब काम करने के लिए जो रोजगार पैदा होता है, आवश्यक है, उससे जॉब्स इंक्रीज ही होगा। उसके अलावा हमने प्रोडक्शन लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव्स 14 सेक्टर्स में दे रहे हैं। मतलब मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए हर एक नया यूनिट जो वो उत्पादन करेंगे उसके लिए इंसेंटिव देने के कारण और उसके पीछे एक बहुत बड़ा इंटरेस्ट है कि ये मैन्युफैक्चर बढ़ाने के समय जॉब्स भी बढ़ाते हैं. सो पीएलआई के पीछे ये भी हमारा मकसद है कि जॉब्स इंक्रीज होगा, इसीलिए पीएलआई देना है. वो सेकेंड बात है. तीसरी, अभी 60,000 crores have been added ये जो अभी सॉवरेन गारंटी के साथ हमने दे रहे हैं हॉस्पिटैलिटी सेक्टर का, और ECGLS जो दिए पिछले साल MSMEs के लिए, उससे ऑलरेडी एक बाहर की इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी, सरकार का नहीं, इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी से ये डेटा आ रहे हैं कि MSME सेक्टर उस लोन को उपयोग करते हुए उनके पास काम करने वाले सबको उनके जॉब्स में बरकरार रखे, वो उन जॉब से हटाया नहीं गया. सो सरकार के प्लान हर एक ऐसे जो प्लान्स पैंडेमिक के समय दिया गया आत्मनिर्भर भारत के नाम पर, और उसके बाद ये ECGLS, अभी जो ECGLS हॉस्पिटैलिटी सेक्टर के लिए हम दे रहे हैं, वो सब जॉब्स को मन में रखते हुए ही दे रहे हैं. यही है तरीका.
Okay, 175.
मैम, तरुण शर्मा फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस. मैम, आपने बजट में 2 अनाउंसमेंट्स करी हैं, एक IBC अमेंडमेंट्स को लेकर. मैम, किस तरीके के अमेंडमेंट्स आप देख रही हैं IBC के अंदर जिससे रेजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस जल्दी हो पाए? और दूसरा, मैम, आपने कहा एक एक्सपर्ट कमेटी बनाई जाएगी प्राइवेट इक्विटी और वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट के लिए. मैम, किस तरीके के कंसर्न्स उन्होंने आपके सामने रेज किए हैं? क्योंकि आपने लिखा है कि रेगुलेटर आर्बिट्राज या फ्रिक्शन जो है उसको दूर किया जाए. तो क्या कंसर्न्स प्राइवेट इक्विटी प्लेयर और वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट?
नहीं, दे कुड बी एनी नंबर ऑफ कंसर्न्स, बट वंस व्हेन दे मेट मी and once when they met the honorable prime minister, they went into a lot of details which are important from the point of view of ease of doing business and also better understanding that sector. If all of us can see the point that private equity in India, venture capital funds have been one of the prime reasons why many of the startups could rise to become unicorns within first 6 months of this year itself. Last year 21 itself, you saw how many of them benefited by funds being made available in India through private equity. Now, if that sector needs further facilitation, obviously the sector will have to sit and talk with a group of people who can understand their needs and then suggest solution for policy making. That is why I have referred to the consultation which we've had with them, and then said that we will appoint a committee which will go through it and come back to the government with suggestions.
255.
Ma'am, Gyaneshwar Dayal from Jan Express. I have a question, actually 2 questions. When can we expect the farmers' income to double? Number 1. And
when can we expect the pharmaceutical?
Farmers' income to double. It was supposed to double in 2022. And how far is the goal of 5 trillion economy? And in what way your budget would take us there? Thank you.
Who wants to? I mean, will Ananta Nageshwaran want to answer it?
So if you look at the amount of minimum support prices that was given out this year, and also the record procurement. So we are well on our way to helping the farmers.
Is your mic all right? Or do you want to, the voice is not coming out.
So if you look at the amount of minimum support prices that have been handed out to farmers in terms of the food grains procured from them, as well as the quantity of food grains procured from farmers, it does suggest very strongly that we are well on the way to helping farmers substantially improve their income. Those statistics are given in Madam's speech document as well. As far as the $5 trillion economy size is concerned, if you look at the fact that in the year ending 21-22 as well as in the next financial year, we are the fastest growing economy among large economies. and our GDP in dollar terms has already crossed $3 trillion. So depending on how the exchange rate moves, and there is enough hope to believe that the Indian rupee will in fact remain stable to strong, given what is going on in the developed world. And if we continue to retain the path of 8% real GDP growth, it will translate into even 8% dollar GDP growth. So therefore, if we extrapolate it, in the financial year 25-26 or by 26-27, with some luck even by 25-26 itself, we should be at a $5 trillion size in terms of nominal GDP. Thank you.
मैं उसमें जोड़ना चाहती हूँ. Sorry, I didn't get your name. ज्ञानेश्वर जी, एक आध विषय मैं जोड़ना चाहती हूँ उसमें. I'll just list out the things, you'll understand where I'm coming from. MSP, यूरिया, माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स, मैं एक सिर्फ यूरिया सब्सिडी का नंबर बोलती हूं. बजट 21-22, मतलब 1 फरवरी 21 में जो बजट दिया गया, उसमें 58,768 was the allocation for urea subsidy. This time it is 63,222 आने वाले साल के लिए. ठीक है. और एक्चुअली 58,768 जो बीई में बोला गया यूरिया सब्सिडी, वो आरई में 75,930. इसका मतलब है कि इंटरनेशनल यूरिया प्राइसेस जितने भी इंक्रीज नहीं हुए, इट्स ऑल राइट, इट गॉट इंक्रीज्ड, मगर वो बोझ किसान के ऊपर पड़ने नहीं दिया. प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उसको तुरंत इंटरवीन करके, that burden we took, we didn't put it on the farmer. So MSP, urea, nutrient in terms of micronutrients which we are giving for farmers, 6,000 rupees Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Additional income कमाने के लिए किसान के लिए शहद का कल्टीवेशन, हनी, बी कीपिंग का प्रावधान, उसको समर्थन और उसका एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ाने के लिए ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ मार्केट लिंकेजेस थ्रू ई कॉमर्स. फिर सोलार पंप्स, उनके वाटर पंपिंग के लिए किसान के लिए सोलार पैनल वगैरह दिया गया है, जिससे उनका ऊर्जा का एक्सपेंस कम होगा. फिर मैंने शायद जुलाई 19 के बजट में या 20 के बजट में ये बात बोली, अन्नदाता क्यों ऊर्जा दाता नहीं बन पाएंगे? जरूर बन पाएंगे. वी मेड श्योर दैट एवरी किसान विल प्रोड्यूस बिजली यूजिंग सोलर पैनल्स इन हिज फील्ड, and he can also uplink that and earn money from the government for supplying urja. Finally, in this budget, I've also made an announcement for food processing, which is at the farm gate, so that investments can happen there. Post-harvest grains को तुरंत प्रोसेसिंग में वो किसान देने के कारण उनका इनकम बेटर रेट्स मिलता है उनको. So there are several steps that we are taking for improving farmers' income. I want you to please take cognizance of it.
इसके अलावा एग्रीकल्चर क्रेडिट
वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट
है. इस साल टारगेट 16.5 लाख करोड़ का था, जो अभी तक 75% हो गया है. अगर आप देखेंगे आज से 16-17 में वो 10,65,000 करोड़ था, तो ये बढ़कर अब 16,50,000 करोड़ इस साल होगा. अगले साल हमारा लक्ष्य है इसको 18 लाख करोड़ तक पहुंचाने के लिए. तो एग्रीकल्चर क्रेडिट में भी काफ़ी बढ़ोतरी हुई.
Okay, 125.
Ma'am, Timsi Jaipuria this side from CNBC TV 18. Your tax revenue collection targets are conservative, but your borrowing numbers are all-time high. How do you explain that? And secondly, when it comes to public sector expenditure, the capex expenditure for RE 2022, they have been revised downwards. How do you explain growth along with these downward revisions?
First, on the, you're saying that the capital expenditure targets for the RE have been moved downwards. From how much to how much, according to you?
Okay. No, not in the capital expenditure budget estimate was 5,54,000 crores. The revised estimate, after removing the actual revised estimate is 6,03,000 crores. But even if you exclude 52,000 crores, which is an Air India sundry dues repayment, it is 551. So the RE is 551 against a budget estimate of 554. That is statistically insignificant. So basically the capital expenditure targets are expected to be achieved.